Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. White court approval, once the road is known. Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone, follow your dream, though it lead to worlds unknown. Life's but a shadow, once our dreams have flown. What if men cry, your dream is not our own? Your soul knows the answer. Go on alone. Give life your heart. Bless everything that's grown. Fear not the loving. All this world's your own. Make rich the soil, but once the seed is sown, seek freedom, don't linger. Go on alone. Walk like a man, even though you walk alone. White court approval, once the road is known. Let come who will, but if they all turn home, the goal still awaits you. Go on alone. Go on alone. Go on alone.
Okay, good morning everybody here and also online. Nice to be together this Sunday morning. Nice to see in Chandigarh now people are all singing the songs. We have drilled it enough in everybody that now we are all singing together every Sunday, and we learn this one together as well after the satsang. So this topic of willpower, and we put it, the sub message if you saw in the flyer, the secret weapon or our secret weapon. We were thinking for a long time, what can we come with, something creative, something different, because we're always coming with the same great, the environment is stronger than willpower, and we've talked about those, no? But we just came with this of secret weapon, and I was just thinking about it. Why is it our secret weapon on the path? And so I thought of a couple of interesting incidences, and it happens to all of us in our lives. So I wanted you to also see, and I'll share a few thoughts from which came in my own life, but maybe it will also be relatable for you in your own. So see if something resonates. So, like Swamiji shares in the reading, right? Like basically when our human will is combined with something greater, suddenly we can break through and make almost miraculous things start happening in life. So one example, all of us who are here or here online, we've had something inside where we were like, this isn't it. This isn't working, there's got to be more. And then you put that intense kind of question out, and then God gives you a spiritual path, or we come to meditation teachings or something, a bigger picture than our little, lives that we all had before. We were all in our small worlds and kind of bumbling along, and suddenly we were like, no, there's got to be something more, and then you get an answer. So that itself we all have in common. But I was thinking, even before the path, we've all had moments, let's think. So Swamiji gives a couple of nice ones, which we've all probably heard or read before, where one exam he had to pass of Greek, and he was studying and he hadn't studied at all, and the examiner was basically like, well, some of you, hinting to him, basically might as well not come for the exam because you haven't even attended any of the classes, so don't even bother. And he put his so much will in that moment, and he basically made the affirmation, I'm a Greek. And he actually, there were only 2 people in the batch who passed the class, and he was one of them, with a very short amount of time, and just applying will in that way, and kind of where superhuman things happen. So there are many people in Ananda who share a lot of fun stories with this in college and different ways, and you might also have something of this where something in your life, it just wasn't possible, but against all odds you made up your mind that I have to make this work, and then it worked, something you broke through. I have a very silly but a small example of, I was in college and I was in Malaysia. My mom's family is there, so I have a lot of family there. And the family was insisting you should get your driving license. So when you're in college, you're like, oh, please, I have so many more plans with my friends. I don't want to waste time studying for driving license. I'll figure later. But they were like, no, you should get it now. So with all, thing, I studied and did the exams and all. So my cousins were telling me, who lived there, who had gone before me, that, oh, this is a very tough exam. You won't pass it in the first go, it's okay. But, then you'll just have to retake it and pay again. So I was like, pay again? So it was for purely selfish reasons. I wanted to use that money with my friends and have fun. So I just made up my mind in that moment, you know what, I'm just going to pass this in the first go so that I don't have to redo this whole process. There's so many more things to do in life. And it was the funniest thing. I remember sitting in that car also with the guy, he was about to test my thing. And I just put so much focus, and I went, and I actually went through. I remember I had gone through the end, whatever test you had to do. And I remember going, because I knew I had done it, and something I passed. And I went back home to my cousin's place and I was saying, and they were like, okay, so where's the fail letter? I was like, no, I passed. And they were like, what? It was one of those very silly examples I'm saying, but it just made me think. That was the first example I think I had consciously of, if you set your will to something, we've all done this, with different things in life. You can achieve it. It's not impossible. Then Swamiji gives us really fun stories of like crazy things that happen. When a mother, when a child is in danger, kind of like superhuman powers come, and the mother becomes like so strong and so powerful to protect because there's something of a desire inside. He tells a really nice story of a lady who was very attached to her piano, and the house caught fire. And in that moment, she picked up her entire piano and ran out of the house. That was the amount of attachment she had and the amount of superhuman power that came. So those are what, in this reading, and what Yogananda ji tells us is you have inside you the latent energy, latent power, which can, in 1 gram of flesh, you would say, to light the city of Chicago. But imagine the city of Chandigarh. Chandigarh is much smaller than Chicago, but a big city, and that means it's there inside us. So it's a very interesting topic to think. It's a secret weapon we have, but it's something like Yogananda ji would say, it's a muscle, willpower. You have to keep working at it. You have to keep strengthening it. It doesn't just happen by sitting on the couch and drinking chai. Or, we have to every time, whenever you're feeling like, oh, you just push through. I love it over here as well. We get to see, throughout the week, we just get to be here. And people come against all odds. Everyone has stuff in life, health challenges, work problems, pressures. And people just know, I decided I'm going to show up, and I came. And you can see because of that, some light is shining. It's like, you give a chance to the masters to come in and kind of fill us. So that's using our will in the right way. And so I was thinking, like that was before the path. But when I came to the path the first time, I had this it was very dramatic experience, but it was like, again, I don't want to get into the details because it's more the point of it which I want to share, which again I think will be relatable to you all. So when I was very new, I had this moment of an opportunity to go and kind of train in Ananda somewhere. And at that moment, I remember asking inside before going, very much I was praying, I was meditating, I was asking the Guru, is this the right step? Is this the right thing? And all the doors kept opening. So I knew he was guiding, that. When I reached that place, which was far away, it wasn't all rosy. It was a training. It was intense. I was away from all comfort zone, and there were challenges. And in that moment, it was so interesting. And I only realized this yesterday in thinking about this satsang. What came out was I was forced, because there's nothing comfortable, no? Nothing to rely on that is anything like known to you. So I was forced to just make a connection with the Guru. And that was my moment of, this is the only reality now. So let's just be here. And so all my willpower, which I could use otherwise to get a driving license, or maybe, who knows, lift a piano, was suddenly directed inside and up here, what we say, from here to here. And this, Master said, is the center of willpower. It's also the center of divine joy. It's very interesting. So we learn in redirecting our energies, like kind of our basis of the path, And that's what I realized in that experience. It was just like 2-3 months. But because it was so intense, it became the foundation of the path. But it's not the end of the story, Every day when we wake up, we have to keep strengthening that muscle. We have to keep putting that same kind of energy. And there's no race as such. And this is what I wanted to also put out, for all of us. We think like, oh no, then look at others are doing this and that. Sometimes you get in this thing of comparing, or I haven't been doing this. So you start beating yourself up, or I'm not going deep enough, or whatever it might be. But there's no race, isn't it? It's just wherever you are, just start there. And tomorrow, wherever you are, start again from there. And then start again, and start again. And every time we make that energy of, okay, I'm here, we're kind of strengthening the will. We're strengthening the will in the right direction of just, all right, I'm here, Master. You help me, Master. You show me the way. And that's the muscle we're working on. So it's a very interesting thing on the path for us to contemplate. We can use that same energy to achieve great feats in life, or we can redirect it inside and achieve the greatest, which is having the greatest friend be our guide, in our lives. And so I'll just end on this. I was also thinking, in the Mahabharata, we have the story of Dronacharya with the Pandavas when he was training them. And remember what he asked. Basically, at some point, he asked all the Pandavas to aim the arrow at the bird, right? And he asked each of them one by one, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? And he got many different answers from Yudhishthira and Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev. And finally, what did Arjuna say? What do you see? I see the eye of the bird. And then he said, shoot. And so very interesting to think of that exercise. I was thinking in this way, of an exercise of willpower in a way, It's like the exercise was aim at the bird, meaning focus your energy, focus and steady kind of, you're determined, you're clear where you're going. Once you know where you're going, shoot. And so that's a big part of how willpower changes on the spiritual path in meditation. It's not this kind of energy to climb a mountain necessarily, and just make all these great achievements. It's an energy that's steady, that's calm, that's focused, that's clear inside ourselves. And just remembering as much as we can, just keep on developing that muscle day and day, and just kind of start again and again where we are. And in that way, it becomes one of our weapons. So I will now invite Bharat to come.
Willpower really is the one thing that separates us human beings from animals and other beings in this planet, because the divine will has created everything in this universe, and we, mankind, being the closest manifestation to that divine, he has endowed us also with the ability to use our will. Whereas animals, and I don't know how much will plants have, but they must have some, but they don't have as much, and they cannot in any way really change their own destiny. Whereas we as human beings, Because of the right use of will, we can change completely our destiny, overcome any obstacle, overcome any karma, any predisposition from the planets and samskar that we have brought. Or by the wrong use of our willpower, we can get enmeshed much, much more into Maya, into delusion. You know how the scriptures say that it takes 4 to 8 million lifetimes to become a human being, first of all, and that progress is automatic because we just follow the natural laws. You know, a tiger, a master used to say, doesn't incur any sin by killing a human because his nature compels him to do that. It is his way of surviving. Whereas if we kill a human or even animals to a degree also, we do incur a sin because we are consciously using our will against something that has been given to us, or certain laws that have been given. So willpower, and that's why then it takes, once we become human beings, it takes another 4 to 8 million incarnations even to find liberation, or even to overcome all of our karma. Because once we get will, the possibilities for good are limitless, but the possibilities for bad are also limitless. And it really boils down to that. How do we use our willpower, or power of choosing also as well? That will determine to a great degree where is our energy going, and whether that energy is getting us closer to liberation or more trapped in Maya. In fact, Master used to say that, you know, the spiritual path, there's so many things about the spiritual path, but it's all about attuning ourselves to the right things. Because he said, if you put your will, if you put energy towards things that are liberating, there are actual forces from the divine, from the higher beings that will pull you closer to that will help you in what you are doing. And if you put your will and your energy towards wrong things in life, desires, this, that, there are actual forces from Maya that are going to also be there and help you and pull you more downward. In this kind, the help is not the right kind of help that we want, but nevertheless, the will tell us which way is our energy going and which forces are we really putting ourselves in tune with. Now, as Shamini said very rightly, the will is a muscle. That's what Master said, that we can develop. Now, some people are born with a lot of willpower, and some people you can see they have willpower figured out, you know. And Swamiji was one of those people. In fact, somebody asked him something about willpower. He said, well, yeah, I never really had a problem with willpower. It was always there for me. Master was the same. Master, in fact, when he was something like 2 or 3 years old, at some point I don't remember exactly where it was, but there was a store that, as he was with his parents, he saw some sweets that he liked. And when they went back home, it was night time, and he asked his parents, you know, I want that sweet. Sorry, it is closed, you cannot get it now. But I want that sweet. You will get it tomorrow. Today we can't. The shop is already closed. The shopkeeper must have gone to bed. And he kept insisting that he wanted that particular sweet, with so much force that, you know, his parents were forced to go and ring the bell of the door, the shopkeeper, and say, we are sorry, I know it's late, but our son is insisting so strongly that he needs this sweet and we cannot deny him. And grumbling around, of course, the shopkeeper finally gave the sweets. But Master said that he remembered that as I remember correctly, his first instance of using willpower in that way. And that's a very important thing for all of us. I don't think I was one of those people who had a lot strong of willpower when I came into this world. In fact, because I'm also the youngest in my family. I have an elder brother and an elder sister. So I didn't really need to worry so much. I don't know how many of you here have siblings and you are the smallest one, but there are certain advantages that come with it, I should say that, which I didn't know till now. But also certain disadvantages. You know, when I was born in Uruguay, as all of you know, in South America, and when I was around 15 years old, we moved to Canada. Now, I had to do nothing. in that move to Canada. I had really, my brother and sister, and of course my parents, they had to do a lot of things. Somehow in the middle I got Italian passport. I didn't even know why I had an Italian passport. Then somehow the money came for the tickets and we migrated to Canada. Then over there I lived for 5 years, and my brother and I decided we wanted to move to India. And even before that, because I had an elder brother who was really, he used to take very good care of me and still does, I really didn't have to think too much about things. Even when we live alone, he will take care of the rent and other things. I had a job, but it was a summer job, and I wasn't able to put the will so much to get a job in order to help a little bit more with the rent and the expenses and so on and so forth. The whole move to India also was his willpower on my behalf, you could say. Of course, we had the blessing of Swamiji, so it all worked out. And then when I came to India, it was more or less the same. All these things, when you come in a certain visa, you had to do a lot of things with the police, this, that. Anyway, and my life went on like that until the time that my brother he moved away somewhere else. And I was, oh my God, I obviously I didn't even think of these things. It was just whatever. But then I saw that, obviously the spiritual path and the path of Kriya teaches us how to use willpower and teaches us that willpower is a prime requisite for success and for success in our techniques. And so willpower starts developing. The Kriya Yogi has a lot of willpower usually. They are will-oriented people. But it was building within me, but then I had to also learn how to apply it into the mundane things in life. And so I remember the first time I had to go to the FRO, which is the Foreign Registration Office, on my own. And I really enjoyed it, actually, because doing, government things are never very fast. But it really taught me how to put willpower in a way of not being, I cannot be very, very pushy, some of you know me, but I cannot be very, very pushy in the other way that some people can when they go to the shops and they start gambling, and not gambling, bargaining, yes, they start bargaining and being so strong, and I cannot do that. I can put my will in a more, I like to call it friendly or soft, or I don't know what it is. But it was very fun because I learned how to do all these things on my own with no one helping me, Obviously they spoke some English, the people there, because they had to deal with foreigners all the time, but it was a very, very slow thing. And I had to do it for many years. And I remember after a couple of years, it was a very joyful thing for me to go there, because I learned how to put my will in a joyful way. To the point that, the people there knew me very well, and they were very friendly towards me. They even will give me cake if there was cake available and all these things, just because I learned how to put my will in a way that is not so imposing, but also that brings me more towards joy. And I think that's a little bit what Shamini was saying too, how we had to learn to use our will in a way that will give us joy. In the end, actually will, it really is the key. It is our weapon. Because what do we learn when we teach energy and all the things? Yes, as Shamini said, greater the will, greater the flow of energy. We all know those things. But why Swamiji was able to do so many things that he did, even become a Greek, so to speak, or learn the guitar, or learn this, or learn that, is because we understand that energy, will, is all one. The same energy we use in one place, we can use in another place. It's just a matter of redirecting it. But remember, the energization exercises says greater the will, greater the flow of energy. Not necessarily the energy, but the flow of energy. And energization and willpower help us to learn to control the flow of energy. That's why it gives us pranayama, because it teaches us how to use the energy we already have, plus energy that we can draw from the cosmos, and how to make it flow in the right direction. And learning how to make the energy flow is the key of the spiritual path. As Shamini said, yes, when we run a race, whenever we go to the gym, whenever we do whatever, the amount of will and the flow of energy is very different. It's much more physical, it's much more outward. Okay, the flow of energy required for meditation is much more subtle. It's much more powerful, but it is subtle. And it is only by the right use of our will that we can learn how to manage that flow in the right way that will be liberating for us. In fact, because of willpower and attuning our will to the divine will, we can change the flow of energy in the cosmos, in the astral levels, in order to attract the circumstances that we need. In fact, a lot of the success on the spiritual path and what we do is learning to channelize that flow of energy, not only within ourselves, but so that the surrounding environment, it will all change in accordance to what we set our will with, especially if it's in tune with the divine will. Now I wanted just to read briefly from this wonderful book, Love Perfected, Life Divine, which is a novel actually about soulmates. It's a very wonderful one. I read it many times, and it has some very wonderful teachings. So I wanted to read a small paragraph. It says, "Free will is not the ability to do what one wants. For what is it that determines those wants or actions of the past? Our will is free only to turn towards God or to reject Him. The potentials of will, however, are practically limitless. They are hindered by the effects of our past actions. But by exercising our willpower resolutely, we can, to a great extent, determine our own success in life and mold our own destiny. The will can command all things, save only love. For love is of God, and God is not subject to authority. Love must be born in the soul and of the soul. Love alone is free." And I wanted to read this because, again, in the spiritual path, it's not that we can impose ourselves in that way to God. And that's why the spiritual path is only 25% of our effort. And in order to attune ourselves to the divine will and attract this love, we have to constantly, through all of our endeavors in meditation, in our actions, in daily life, always be trying to say, "Lord, is this what you want? Is this what you want me to do? Lend me your energy to go in the right direction." And to attune ourselves to the divine will and attract that love and joy that we are all seeking for, we have to constantly be asking for it and constantly attuning our flow of energy so that it will be in tune with that divine flow of energy that is meant for all of us. Om Guru.